went according to plan, the light would stay long enough to see them to the top of the rise and disappear just when they needed it to. There was a lot riding on the phrase, if all went according to plan. But it was a good plan, maybe even close to a perfect plan. It was also their only plan. If it succeeded, a man would be dead, and they would be safely away before anyone was the wiser. If it failed, it won't. Aeon said. She didn't wink. It wasn't her style. But she did a thing, maybe without even realizing it, where she shifted her lips sideways and lifted a brow. It was, he thought, the same as a wink, a reminder of the secrets between them, the promise of things to come, an acknowledgement of how hard they'd worked for this very moment. Time, he said to her unasked question. As one they moved. Together they crawled up the remainder of the slope, low through the rubble, hands and knees, sometimes elbows and thighs, staying flat, staying tight. They didn't talk, they didn't have to. They'd been working on this plan long enough that he couldn't remember when they hadn't. For so long, their lives, his, Aeon's, Delga's, Thorm's, had been filled with devices, maps, time plans, and the shared dream of Rillant Boar's end. Everything, every piece of equipment, every late night of planning in the base, every risk they'd taken to learn a schedule or a secret, it all led to this moment, for good or for ill. As Kier climbed, he did a mental equipment check. He'd done it once before they'd left the base, but there was no such thing as too careful. He touched each object with his mind, the way others might touch it with their fingers. Obedient rope coiled at his hip. It would drop him down the inside of the crater they were climbing, and then pull him back up when he was ready. He disliked the rope. Its semi-sentience made him wary, but he was not one to disregard a good tool just because its attributes made him uncomfortable. Polarizer glasses, lenses off. All he had to do was say the word and they'd come on. At least, that's what Delga had promised him. Long-range launcher, strapped to his back, a gift from one of the many people they'd helped escape from Rilant's trenches. Corrosion projectile sealed in an organic sheath and tucked into his pocket. There was no way to keep the projectile's coating from eating away at the launcher, so the timing of removing it from the sheath, loading it, and firing it was going to be paramount. He'd done it 1,000 times with a regular projectile, but they only had one of these. The piece of equipment he didn't want, but he checked off his mental list anyway, because he always had it with him, and would have it until the day he finally had to use it. A silver and red nodule on a strip of leather that looped his neck. It snagged and pulled as he moved, as if to remind him of its presence, of its purpose. The nodule was last resort, or whatever came beyond last resort. Putting that cipher in motion meant everything had gone horribly, irrevocably wrong. He'd only come close to using it once. He hoped he'd never have to. The small things came last. 2 short blades in the sleeve sheaths on his arms, medkit, ceramic detonation cipher, because you never knew when you'd need to blow something up. The strong glass and steel ring that he never took off. By the time he finished the list, they were nearly at the top. The sloped side they were climbing, the broken bits of buildings and statues and walls that shifted and tumbled beneath their feet, had once been their home. Before the Kubricks, before Rillant. Before there was even an inkling in his mind that they would plan to take another man's life in cold blood. That he would plan to take another man's life in cold blood. That he would become a killer. A killer, like the man he had to kill. What luxury they'd known before the ruin. Worrying over ghosts and small affairs, and whether Aeon's mother would approve of him. It was silly. And horrible, and he missed it with every fiber of his being, that complex simplicity of less dark times. Not everyone thought of what had happened as the ruin, of course, for Rillant and his pseudo-clave